Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, back to do another About Last Nightmare. Of course, this is a series where Nick and I watch a movie together, but separately, and give our overall facts, plot synopsis, rating, and all on the film. This week is kind of a significant week. It is the end of Subspecies. And the film is Subspecies 4, Bloodstorm. Now, this is one of my favorite series of all time, and pretty soon, Nick, Joe from the Horror Man, and I will probably be doing a ranking of all these films, so stay tuned for that. But, yeah, it's kind of bittersweet because this is the end of the series, and the last Subspecies movie that we will be doing, of course. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to introduce Nick to Subspecies and Vampire Journals. And yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure to watch all these with him. Now, Subspecies 4, Bloodstorm, is a 1998 film that clocks in at 85 minutes. But here's where it gets tricky. This is, of course, the DVD. Apparently, there is another cut of the film that runs 90 minutes. And here's where we had a little bit of a problem last night. Nick does not have the DVD of this, so he watched it on YouTube, which is fine. I mean, that's, it's essentially the same movie, but it was the longer cut of the film, which I did not know. And I'm going to have to go back and watch the extended cut because I love Subspecies. Not to do this video or anything, but I just love Subspecies, and yeah, if there's any extras, of course, being a horror fan and a overall Subspecies fan, I'd like to see the entire cut of it. But regardless, mine runs 85 minutes. His ran 90. What I ended up doing was, in the second half of the film, when we realized that we were a little out of sync, I was watching this and his version on YouTube in kind of stereo, which was it's a pretty neat thing. And there was a small difference in the film from the halfway point. Apparently, the extended cut takes place in the first half of the film, from what I could gather. But, yeah, it's essentially the same film. Of course, this is written and directed by Ted Nicolau, who, of course, did all of the Subspecies films and also the Vampire Journals. And this gets back to starring Anders Hove as Radu Vladislav. It also has Denise Duff reprising her role as Michelle. But in this one, we actually have a couple new characters. I'm going to kind of combine the interesting things and the overall facts and figures this time because I think it works out a little bit better. Mel and Rebecca, who were in Subspecies 2 and 3, apparently were not able to reprise their roles in Subspecies 4. So Ted Nicolau wrote them out of the movie as dying in a car accident in the beginning of the film. Now, Nick will go over all the plot synopsis and everything like that. But one of the things I was kind of laughing at last night was when they died in the beginning of the movie in a car accident, you saw them kind of laying outside of the car, and the car was turned over. The whole staged sort of car accident death. And Rebecca, who had dark hair in Subspecies 2 and 3, had red hair. So apparently she changed her hair color in the car before they wrecked. She just wanted a new color before she died. So, but you know, it's a minor squabble, nothing really major. But that kind of has its advantages. Um, I had seen enough of those characters in Subspecies 2 and 3, so we were introduced to some new characters. Um, and some characters from Vampire Journals, which kind of combined the two series together and kind of fortified their um, existence in the same world. So in this film we have Ash, the evil vampire, reprising his role from Vampire Journals as the underling of Radu. From what I could gather, this was kind of going on at the same time, as far as like a timeline goes. This was going on the same time as Vampire Journals. So it kind of works to explain away some of the things that happened in Vampire Journals. So at least that's in my eyes. The takeaway from that is that Vampire Journals happens at the same time as Bloodstorm. So we're also introduced to, in the beginning of the film, Ioana, which is played by Anna, I'm probably going to butcher her name, Lacasse, but she looked really familiar. I didn't say anything to Nick, but she just looked really familiar to me, and I realized that what I knew her from was some of the other horror movies in my collection. She was in Hellraiser Deader. She was in Werewolves, The Beast Among Us. She was in Mirrors. Ghouls, which I haven't watched yet. I do own it, but I haven't watched it yet. And a new movie, which I have never seen, called The Crucifixion. But she's very attractive, and I know I'd seen her before. I just couldn't place where I had seen her. We're also kind of, see if I can explain this, introduced to a doctor named Dr. and I know I'm going to butcher this one, Dr. Nikolsov, and that is played by Mihai Dinval. Now, he was actually in Vampire Journals as well, but he plays a completely different character, which I don't really understand. Yeah, maybe it's his twin brother, who knows? It could be explained a whole bunch of different ways. But of course, he was in Vampire Journals. He was in Dark Angel, which is another full moon picture. He was in Blood and Chocolate. He was in Trancers 4 and 5. So, he was in, let's see, 3 other full moon pictures. So, I guess he was a favorite of either Ted Nicolau or Charles Band. So, but yeah, this was also another fun fact. I guess this was also filmed in Romania and the USA. So it kind of keeps in with that whole feel of, the whole gothic sort of feel. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. This is actually longer than I thought it was going to be because, when you're doing a series that a lot of times stars the same people, you kind of tend to run out of things to say. But this one had a lot. The way they approached this one, they kind of introduced a lot of new characters. So, but definitely tune in to Nick, the Last Shoegazer, for About Last Nightmare Part 2, where he's going to give the plot synopsis and our overall rating on the film. But yeah, I just wanted to say, Nick, this has been a pleasure to watch these films with you. They're some of my favorite films of all time, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Of course, this is not the end of About Last Nightmare. We're going to be back next week with a completely different movie. And yeah, definitely tune into Nick. And if you like what you see and hear, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.